Chairman, I have a question.
Yeah.
Amy, on the thing I'm reading here, it said Bayside Drive. You just said Bay Shore Drive. Where exactly is this property located?
It's Bayside,
Okay.
Bayside Drive. And it's Bayside Village off of St. George Island Plantation.
So it's in the plantation?
Yes.
Okay. That's
It's,
what I was trying to determine the location.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you another question. I know that this is a multi-family deal, and they're adding more docks. But there is a limit, as far as I understand, we're talking to Mr. Currington, that there can be no more than 9 vessels moored there.
That's correct.
Are they aware of that?
Yes,
In other words, that one family does not be able to have 2 boats or?
that
there's
is
9?
correct.
Okay. As long as they're aware of that, because 9 is the limit.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? I oppose. Let the record reflect the chairman opposed.
I hate to keep doing this to you, Amy, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
So I got another call from Pam. She says she saw it in the bay. She thinks it's more parallel to like her office to the airport, but it's heading north and northwest. I know everybody just got an alert on their phones again, but she called me right before we got the alert.
She
Okay?
saw it.
Yes.
Don't know with that.
Okay.
Okay. We also have a recommendation for approval, and it was unanimous, contingent upon getting the engineered stormwater, planting beautification, and Army Corps of Engineer permitting. The existing 6-foot fence will remain, however, no additional fencing has been approved on the site plan. It's a consideration of a request for a commercial dredge and fill and spoil cell site prep placement in the uplands of the northwest corner of the Franklin Boulevard and West Bayshore Drive. Property also known as 41 Bayshore Drive, St. George Island, Franklin County, Florida. Project was previously approved by the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of County Commissioners in 2015. The project was approved contingent upon development within the AE flood zones only, providing an engineering plan, a federal permitting. Property owner has obtained state permits. Request submitted by Dan Garlick, Garlick Environmental Associates, agent for George Floyd, applicant.
Pleasure of the board.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Amy, when it was originally approved, weren't some of the ways it's worded the same ways it's worded now, and contingent upon engineered stormwater, planning beautification, those kind of things?
Yes.
Okay.
All the same contingencies apply.
Yes, sir. And they do have the engineering for their stormwater.
And that would consist of?
I can show you a picture. Let's see if I can flip that one.
Thank you.
This is the stormwater. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not, Dan Garlick can probably better explain that.
I'm not an engineer either, but I probably can explain it.
Please state
basically-
your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Dan Garlick, representing EMM. What you're looking at here is the idea is to create a swale, like, we already have water that collects on Bayshore Drive, as we all know. And so the idea is to build a swale along the edge with an inlet, so when water does get high, the idea is to shunt the water to that inlet, and then the inlet's going to be connected to a pipe, and the pipe's going to be put in first before we start the spoil work. That way you got a place for the water to get to, then it's going to be directed from there to the boat basin, just like it's doing now. So we're going to be doing pretty much the same thing, but since you'd obviously have a berm there, that could help, but that could create a problem if you didn't do something like that. So the idea is to have a swale, direct the water to that point, it goes through a pipe, and it goes to the basin, just like it does now. And that came from the engineer. I didn't design it. The engineer designed it. That's pretty much
The
what it
only
is.
question I got, Dan, is, and if a motion is made, I'd like it contingent upon this, is if the swells blow out towards Franklin Boulevard or, what is that, Bayshore?
Yep.
Okay, that the owner is responsible for the cleanup and
Yeah, I mean, just like any other swale on any place,
I
you
think
gotta
that's
maintain.
contained in your permit out anyway,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta maintain them.
Yeah. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones,
Second.
second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, we also have a recommendation for approval for a public hearing for land use and a rezoning. It was a 3-2 vote. It's a consideration of a request to rezone a 1-acre parcel lying in Section 11, Township 9 South, Range 8 West, 621 U.S. Highway 98, Apalachicola, Franklin County, Florida, from C4, Commercial Mixed-Use Residential, to C3, Commercial Recreation, and a land use change from Commercial Mixed-Use Residential to Commercial Recreation. Request submitted by Charlotte Snyder, applicant. This is within the intent to place a commercial RV site to be presented at a later date.
Commissioners, if you see it's a 3-2 vote, planning and zoning, the concerns were, number one, that you had one P&Z member had concerns about it being spot zoning. They weren't comfortable with that. And another member had concerns that at some point, someone would try to do this, change the zoning across the street, which is seafood commercial, and he wanted to make sure that that would stay seafood commercial forever, so that's why he didn't even want to entertain the thought of changing the zoning across the street. Correct, Amy? About the two?
And the property right now is seafood commercial, correct?
Across the street is
Right, the
seafood.
way it's zoned now.
Yes, and he wants it to remain that way. So that's why to him, he was a little uncomfortable with changing the zoning across the street.
He talking about the property across, that's different
Yes.
from what we're dealing with.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
across the street is Lombardi's Park, just about.
Well, yeah, and further down,
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
it's,
all along.
Pretty
Yeah, but
close.
I mean,
Yeah.
in that general vicinity,
Yes.
that's what I'm talking
this
about.
is
Yes.
Lombardi's.
He's more concerned, I guess, further to the east, a little bit east of Lombardi's.
I will caution the board about, it is with intent to place a commercial RV site to be presented at a later date. This is my district out here in this part of Apalachicola. And a lot of your RV parks will close during the big land boom, like the KOA and the East Point. I mean, there's a lot of areas closed off where you don't have any place to travel and to park a commercial RV in Apalachicola. Now, there's several across the bridge over in East Point, and there's one across the park in Carabel. But I will caution the board that if you rezone this piece of property and they have an intent to do a commercial RV park, if you don't like an RV park in that area, then you don't need to rezone the property. So we need to make sure that, you know, that obviously they've got it on here written in red with intent to place a commercial RV site. Because then you limit people's use, or they're limiting their own use when they ask for this rezoning. Rezoning is not a given. You're not entitled to it. It's something that they apply for. So, having said that, the board just needs to consider what they're wanting to do and why they're wanting to rezone the property. If you don't want this commercial RV site out there, leave the zoning as it is, because it allows for a lot more use other than what is limited by C3. And it is the pleasure of the board. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second? I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion?
Now, this is to take it to a public hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar to what you just did a few minutes ago with Clausen and with D.W. Wilson.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
Yeah, we got to get, the law said we got to give them a public hearing. I mean, we got to give them that. That's the law. Whatever.
No further discussion. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Okay,
All right.
we have a subdivision, final plat approval. Its recommendation was to approve contingent upon the final plat approval of the land use and rezoning at the public hearing. It was unanimous. Consideration of a request for sketch plat approval of a 3-lot subdivision on Highway, excuse me, I didn't write this, but it's a 6.53 acre parcel laying in Section 23, Township 8 South, Range 6 West, also known as Lot 2 Emerald Point, 1301 Highway 98, East Point, Franklin County, Florida. Request submitted by Dan Garlick, Garlick Environmental Associates, for Helen Clausen. It's a 3-lot subdivision. All of this was seen at the Planning and Zoning a few months ago, but they had to have their land use and rezoning done prior to having a sketch plat approval. So it's a 3-lot subdivision. Each lot will have more than an acre, and it will be accessed by an easement along the property line, each lot.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion?
I do. I got, this is the same stuff we were talking about previously, right?
Yes, ma'am. This parcel was just had a land use and rezoning.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
And we had it as a contingency at a previous meeting, but you didn't want to see it at that, any contingencies.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that's why we had it at the back end of the P&Z report. We wouldn't have looked at it had they not even got their land use and rezoning.
Okay, question.
Yes, ma'am.
This lot, these lots that we're talking about, the lots in question, it already has the big house in the front and another house in the back.
Yes, ma'am.
So what they want to do is put another house in there? Or
What it is
how is it gonna do?
right now, it was zoned R6, which only allowed 1 unit per 10 acres, and they didn't have quite 10 acres. And so I think that they were wanting to sell off some, and they couldn't do it unless they had a land use and rezoning, and they were doing the subdivision plat.
Well, I'm concerned because you don't have one house on 6 acres. You have 2 houses on
Yes,
6
ma'am.
acres. And then now you've plotted it for the 3-lot subdivision on 6.54, so that allows them one more house, is that not right?
Technically, if it's now zoned R1,
Uh-huh.
it would allow them 6, but they're only requesting 3.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So are you gonna have something on paper that, huh?
Are there gonna be something on paper that
Yeah,
limits that?
that limits that to 3? Only 3 houses?
Or would he come back later and want 3 more?
Nope.
That's right.
Dan Garlick for Helen Clausen.
a long time.
What had happened is that Helen Clausen, she's an elder lady, she had a bunch of kids.
I don't
and-
care what she's got. I
I
don't
understand.
care.
I'm just
looking
trying-
at the
I
thing.
understand.
I mean,
I'm
she's
trying to-
already got one house there. She's already got that big white house in the back. I want to know what that. I mean, that's the reason why I voted against it, was because it was not what is actually there is not what was being presented to this board. And when you don't do what, I mean, y'all didn't say, hey, this is supposed to be only a house on 6.54 acres. Well, in truth, you've got 2 houses there on 6.54. Now, let's get down to the truth of it. What is her intention? Is she wanting one more house to make the 3-lot subdivision? Or is she wanting to do this now and then later on we'll go on down there and do 3 more? So, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Well, that's where I'm coming from on my voting, Dan, and you know how I am on that.
I know. I got to explain a little bit to you first, though, before I tell you what the truth is, okay?
Now, you can explain it, but whether
The
I
truth
will
was
understand it or
that
not.
she was in here with Rachel Ward before, and she has her house, and then she had a bunch of kids, and so they're trying to figure out how to put it all together. And the zoning issues, she sort of understood, and we've worked with her a lot in the past. And basically what she ended up doing was building that second house you're talking about with a connector. So she's almost, remember that old Alligator Point Lodge way back in the woods? You had one kitchen? That's what she had here. So now she's at a point where all the kids run away and done their thing, and she's ready to probably move on and do other things herself. So at this point in time, the idea is that, as you can see, there's some wetlands on there, we got a pond in the back, but basically all she wanted to do is be in a position that she can now make 2 houses on there plus the third, and that's all she wants to do. This has become, once we're done with this, if you approve the sketch plat, our next thing is we have to go out and get a surveyor and carve the lots up into 3 lots, and that's all it's going to be.
Okay, Dan, let me ask you a question. You got the house on the front side, the
Correct.
Gray Eagle, it says Gray Eagle there.
Right.
Then you got that white house on the lot 2, right?
Yep,
Then all she wants is another approval to have a house there
correct.
in the back. Is she gonna have enough room, because it looks like almost all that lot right there is nothing but that pond, that man-made pond that she's had there. Is she gonna have enough to do a third house there?
Sure is, yep.
Even with the pond there? Okay. I
Not
just
only
wanna
that,
make
but even
sure.
more important, she'd be able to get her wastewater system in there too.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about this one that you don't see on these others have been covered in 1 acre lots. We got just one road coming on to US 98, where everybody else has got one for each lot. So that's
Yeah.
even a nicer thing about this one. Does that explain with the
That
truth?
explains it, but you're still gonna get a no vote from me, and let me tell you why. I can tell you why. Because it was not truthful. It was not truthful. Y'all, and I'm telling you, I'm funny about that. You've got 2 houses there. You don't have 1 house.
Well,
You've got 2 houses.
I didn't
So,
write.
I mean, you're just representing her, and we're not gonna
Yeah.
shoot the messenger, okay?
Thank you.
But I just want you to know.
But I'm just saying that the county before approved both those houses together as actually one house. I know it sounds weird, but that's what I was
you
trying to.
don't do one house here and another house 100 foot behind, or 200 foot behind.
And what she did the first time was perfectly legal. She got permits for it and everything, but the land itself lends itself to only one more house. We
Yeah.
couldn't figure out any
That's
other
what
way
I'm
of carving
saying.
it up anymore it was, so.
And if you look on the visual, the actual photograph, you'll see that last lot back there is nothing but almost a pond.
Yeah.
In other words, you dug it up to fill the other up front to where she could have something, because you see all that other stuff that's, wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we know.
We're good.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We did have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed?
I oppose.
Let the record reflect Commissioner Sanders opposing.
Okay, that completes,
That completes planning and zoning.
yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Amy.
Thank you very much.
Next will be Ms. Marcia Johnson, Clerk of Court Report.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have a very short report. You all received it. I'm just requesting to go ahead and set dates for a budget workshop, and we had to work around the court schedule for this room. So the dates that are available are Thursday and Friday, July 20th and 21st, and Tuesday, July 25th. And then before you set the date, there's 5 non-governmental agencies that you fund for a total of $80,772. Those requests were turned in as you asked at the same level as last year. I have those names and the amounts for you today, and I just want to know if you want those non-governmentals to appear at the budget workshop, since they turned in the exact same budget request. And if not, if we didn't want them to appear, we could probably have just one-day budget workshop.
I think we need to do it like, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I think we need to do it like we've done, and that is to not have the non-governmentals here and just give them the set amount that, as long as they're within their budget from last year. What do you think?
My only comment is as we talked to Mr. Fonda here this morning, he's gonna need additional funds, when you're talking about taking over the landfill transfer station.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the non-governmental.
I understand, but where are these funds gonna come from?
Yeah,
Where are these funds gonna come from?
that's right.
Uh,
You're right.
so you either got to raise taxes, or you gotta cut something in order to make more funds available to do what Fonda needs to do. And that's just one
Yeah.
thing that
Yeah.
that I'm referencing to. I don't know what else is gonna come out in these board workshops. And if it was typical where we didn't see any other things that we gotta fund, and you know, and I asked the board, you know, several months ago that when these type of things come up, either you're gonna tax the people more or you're gonna cut something. Where the cut's coming from, we know we gotta do that transfer station over there because
Yeah.
nobody wants it, so we gotta revamp that.
Scratch my comment.
And Heather's
Mr.
having-
And I
Chairman.
don't know what else is coming up.
Yeah, you
Heather's
want
having
everybody to
problems.
appear then?
Huh?
Heather's having problems.
Well, but money's gotta come from
That's what I'm
somewhere.
saying.
You know,
Okay.
and I'm just here to say that I'm not in favor of raising taxes.
No.
I'm not saying I won't, I'm saying I'm not in favor of doing that. We gotta go into these budget workshops and find out what we gotta do and
To get there.
where's the money coming from.
Yeah, to get there.
These are good, NGOs. You know, it's a pleasure to the board. I don't have the ability to make the motions in the second.
No,
I'm
but-
just stating the fact that there's gonna have to be some cuts somewhere if we're going to increase the budget.
And the only place you can pretty much cut is the non-governmentals. Let's just base facts on that. I
I'm
mean,
just
you know.
saying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think they
man.
need to be here through the budget workshop, because there's gonna be some issues.
It's gonna be issues, and if we tell them not to come, then they're gonna be expecting their
Yeah.
funding, and you
Right, I'd rather them
can't,
to
you
come.
can't use
Yeah.
that as an option. I'm not saying we're gonna cut them or not cut them.
Yeah.
Until we look at the overall plan, it's gonna be hard to see what's gonna happen.
Were y'all okay then with then scheduling for Thursday and Friday, the 20th and 21st? And
Yeah.
we maybe put the non-governmental on that Friday?
You said the
Or-
21st and what?
Well, really and
July.
truly,
July 20th?
well, really and truly,
21st?
Yeah, and
but
21st.
really and truly, Mr. Chairman, we're gonna have to have it all there because the non-governmentals, if we're gonna continue to do any funding at all, they're gonna have to be part of it because not only are the county department's gonna take a hit, but they're going to too. Whatever we gotta do, because we know the numbers are not as good as what we want them to be, we know that from the estimate.
And I
So-
really don't know what everybody else has turned in.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I don't have all that here.
Right, you're
I
right.
know in years past, sometimes we have had them not come because it seemed like everything was gonna stay about where it was.
Let's let them come and get down on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I'll certainly do whatever y'all wish. I mean,
Yeah,
are
but you-
y'all
but-
okay with doing it on the Thursday, July 20th and Friday, July 21st?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me. I want them to come in because they need to do a little reporting too
okay.
and see how they.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, well, we'll
Tell
set
us.
that schedule for those 2 days and we'll get that to y'all.
Do you want a motion to approve those dates or?
What time is this?
We
What
can
time
do a
here?
motion, that'd probably be okay.
What time
Start
do
at
you want?
9 o'clock that morning.
Okay,
9 o'clock.
okay.
Thursday and Friday, July the 20th and 21st. and we-
Okay, I
you
make
know.
a motion that we give the clerk the approval to have the budget workshops on Thursday, July the 20th, and Friday, July 21st, and that all department heads and all non-governmentals show up.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
Yeah, tell them be ready to give us a breakdown of what they're doing and spending the money on so the people
Know where the money's going.
know where the money going.
Thank you.
If
Any
they
other
ask.
instructions or?
Well, do we know where we're at? Have we had, now, we've gotten the budget in?
If I may, Commissioner, I'm sorry, there are actually two budgets that are over what they were last year. And with the boards, if you guys don't feel differently, my plan was to go and sit down with both of those department heads or the people in charge of those budgets and tell them, look, you've got to find a way within your budget to cut it and bring it back as it was last year. If you need an increase, that's something you discuss with the board at the budget workshop. That's what it's for. This allows you guys to talk to your department heads, to talk to the constitutional officers about their budgets and NGOs. So unless you guys feel differently about it, that's my intention to go this week, and sit with them and talk to those.
Wasn't that what our instructions were?
It is what our instructions were, but let me explain something real quick for the public's knowledge. When you allow this person or that person to increase their budget, but everybody else is told to hold where they're at, to me, that's not fair.
Exactly.
I know there's issues, and we all got to deal with the issues, but it's just not fair to the other entities of the county that try to do what the board directs them to do, and then you got some that just come here and say, well, I got to have more money. I mean, it just don't work that way. You know, I try to treat everybody fair and equitable, as I'm sure the board's aware of, because you heard me say it 1,000 times. And it's just not fair to, you know, if you're gonna have people hold it, then they gotta hold it. If you don't, it's not fair to everybody else in the county that's requesting money in this particular budget cycle. And you know, 2 or 3 can do it, and the rest of them can't. I mean, it's just not fair, and it's not equitable. And we're gonna have to all share the burden of being where they need to be. I'd like the board to make a motion directing Mr. Morone to do what he's talking about.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley.
Mr. Chairman, we got to vote on that one first. huh?
Okay, yeah, she's trying to tell me that too. We kinda got crossed up here. So we do have a motion on the floor for everybody to come in during the budget cycle. Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Now we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders to,
To start out with everybody like they were.
yeah, to make a motion for Mr. Morone to go and talk to these 2 individuals, or 2 departments that have increased their
Yep,
budget.
that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
And do we have a second on that motion? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries also.
And I want to beat the board to the punch of doing something, to congratulate my prior boss as being the president of the statewide Association of Clerks and Comptrollers. Job well done.
Yeah.
Real quick, Michael, board recess.
Where the